You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Project Runway After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Project Runway After Show.
Where's our...
There it is.
This is the correct one.
Yep. That's what we had last week.
Yeah, they got it right.
I think so. Yeah.
With the cameras and everything?
Yeah.
I don't think this is what we used last week.
Maybe not.
I'm going crazy. Hi, guys. Bing is we're doing, and here at AFTERBUZZ TV, we're doing another Project Runway All-Stars Season 2, Episode 9. There's no business like so business. Recap.
Yay.
Hi, guys. I'm Alina.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, I'm Cougar.
We have a fun show. It's the Ready to Wear Challenge, so let's get right into it. Ready to Wear Challenge, Elie Tahari showroom on 5th Avenue is the first thing we see, and it's quite beautiful, and we know what to expect on the episode.
Right.
I love Ready to Wear because I feel like it's something I could actually purchase and relate to. So I always enjoy these episodes. Caroline shows up in her cute little peach dress. I wonder if that's Elie Tahari. Maybe we could do some research.
You would think she would have mentioned that, maybe.
Yeah.
If it was, but at the same time, you would also think she would be wearing that.
I'm wearing Elie Tahari today.
Maybe, but she could have been.
It kind of looks like Michael Kors to me.
It was cute.
Scandalous.
It was very simple. I liked it.
So let's get to the challenge. Ready to Wear. They need to take the Ready to Wear to another level. They want it modern, sophisticated, and feminine for the Elie Tahari lady. And the garment that wins is going to be featured on a window. It's going to be manufactured and sold at Elie Tahari in all the stores and online.
Right.
And all the proceeds are going to charity Save the Garment Center.
Yep.
And also, Elie Tahari fabric is being used. The garment is going to sell from $500 to $700, and they have to keep that in mind because they get price consultations, and they have to basically make a dress that is going to make a profit.
Yep.
Right.
Also, I think that's it. Anything else you guys want to add about the challenge?
No, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's an exciting challenge because I think for all of us as viewers, you know, we're the consumer. We watch these shows because we like fashion, but we love to buy fashion. So seeing them, and I think Emilio said it best when he said, you know, retail, that's the meat and potatoes of this business. You're not just a designer, you know, he wanted to have, or he wants to have a successful business. And I think most, or I would hope most designers do, and that's, you know, they need to know how to do ready-to-wear stuff. I feel like that's where you should start.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
It's very different for them because they're all classically trained fashion designers.
Right.
And ready-to-wear is a process of product development, so it's a different mindset almost because, like Caroline was saying when they were getting into the challenge, you've got to think about price, you got to think about your labor costs, and how to make a profit still if your dress sells $500 to $700. So, this I think is making them stretch a little bit outside of their bounds.
And as a consumer, it's interesting to see because I always assume
Just comes out of magic.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really have to think about the fabric. You don't have to think about how much it's going to cost to make.
Right. And that's the thing too, when as a consumer you're thinking this is too expensive. Why would somebody charge this much for this outfit or this dress or this top or whatever it is? But you don't really think about all the costs that come into play when they're designing. And, maybe these designers don't either. They're always just given a budget and they're just thinking about their fabric. But then there's so many other details, the manufacturing costs. I think when we get to Anthony Ryan and using pockets, you have to think about adding the extra detail adds more cost.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not something you think about.
And if these
normally.
designers aren't manufacturing clothes to sell yet,
Then
they're making
Right.
one piece. They're making probably maybe 2 pieces,
Yeah.
but not like duplicates. So I guess it's a completely different ballgame.
right.
Big time.
Workroom. So we go into the workroom and we know to expect Elie Tahari and Joanna this week because obviously Ellie's going to come and give him his own input. Elie chooses white again. That was kind of dramatic. I was shocked. She keeps
Yeah.
talking about changing it up. She doesn't want to do the same thing, and she picked white again.
Yeah, I think I was most shocked at her reaction of her picking white. The fact that she picked white and then she gets to the workroom and realized that she picked white. And I'm thinking, and why are you thinking about this now? Why is this just hitting you that you've picked white yet again when you do white over and over and over again? She went into the challenge right when she knew, you know, what the challenge was. She knew she didn't want to incorporate trim. She's like, I don't want to
talked about
do,
that.
yeah,
No
she's
trim,
like,
no
I want to
fringe.
do something different. You know, the judges keep pointing out all the similarities of everything that I'm doing, and they all comment on the trim and everything. And she wanted to make sure not to do that, but she didn't think about not doing white. I thought that was just so funny. Like, I love Elie, but
So do
I
I,
just think, how did that skip your mind?
Yeah.
I love how editing didn't show us what fabric she chose until she was in the
Right.
workroom.
Yeah.
And she was looking at everybody else is getting a little jealous of what they picked. And it actually kind of made me think at that point, what if she had picked Ivy's fabric? You know, what could Elie do with somebody else's fabric if she had the chance? Or if she, you know, didn't have the, I guess, short-sightedness to pick something other than white. So
Yeah, something
She's-
amazing, I think.
I think she'd be, yeah.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of white this season, but season 3 when she was around, she used to do these light, airy silks in different colors, like really beachy looks.
Wow.
And she was great at it. They loved her stuff. Lots of prints as well.
Yeah.
So I wish she would have done that, but for whatever reason, she's obsessed with white this
Yeah,
season.
Anthony Ryan, I think, was the one who said, oh, she's itching for a ring. Like, she wants to get married.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that must be why
be.
she's subconsciously constantly picking white.
And I think that all of us were kind of like, okay, this might be the part or the time where the judges call her out on it and say, okay, this has to stop.
Right.
She also made a great point. She's going to have trouble having that wow factor on the runway because it doesn't translate as well as, let's say, that bright pink that Joshua used or a stunning print like Anthony Ryan used.
Right.
Yeah. She makes me laugh because I feel like constantly in the workroom, she's always the one that's kind of nervous about what she ended up picking about her fabric or what, you know, the direction that she's going in. And she's always the one thinking, oh, I'm screwed, or oh, my design's not here, or it's not there. But yet she always pulls it out somehow. Like, she always comes through.
Her and Anthony, they've been in the
Kind of
top two, like
amazing.
every, you know, for the last 4 weeks or so, just the two of them.
They're great.
Those two are true all-stars in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody else,
There's some filler in there.
there's
And
a lot of filler.
Right in here. I keep asking, why
Yeah.
is Ivy still here?
Right.
Why is Ivy still here?
We've been asking the same
Is there
question.
anybody that you guys
Right.
think that should have been here instead of Ivy at this point?
A lot of
Anybody
Really?
that sticks out in your
No,
mind that's
you
been kicked
mean
off?
this season?
This season of All Stars.
Of the cast that was
Yeah.
actually there. If
Anybody who's-
somebody should have been kicked off.
Even,
if Ivy should have been kicked off
Casanova,
Laura, Kathleen,
Laura
who I didn't
Kathleen.
like, but she's
Right.
a better designer. Casanova, because I like his personality better. I mean, what other reasons do you guys want?
Exactly. No, I don't know. I feel like Laura, Kathleen, and Ivy, they kind of fall in the same area for me. I agree. Maybe Laura Kathleen is slightly a better designer, but not by much. Like, you know, Laura Kathleen went home last week. So if it wasn't her last week, I would want her gone this week. You know, so I don't know how much of a difference there is there. No, I don't think Ivy's a great designer, but I don't know that I could think of a cast member from this season that should be here instead of her.
How about Althea?
Oh, yeah, okay. I
She wasn't terrible.
No,
Althea, wasn't she the one that was just kind of like not doing anything great?
no, I think she definitely stepped it up.
She's the one that had that awful print with like it looked old and vintage, like bad vintage.
The
Thrift
polka dot
store,
in the
yes.
eco challenge.
I don't know. I don't think she was good actually. I think I was happy when she left. I just don't feel like they had a very strong cast. I feel like
all.
now we're getting
Right, yeah.
down to the good ones. and this is what All Star should have been like, and there should have been others from past seasons that could have taken the place of all the people that have gone home so far.
Point. That's a very good point, because now that we're, after the show, we're down to the top 4, there's very much a distinction of who is going to be the top 2 and who is, going to fall out in the next 2 episodes.
Right.
I think we could have chose the top 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We could have chosen the top 2
a while ago.
We could have kind of started to choose the top 2 at the very beginning, I think.
I know that when we get to predictions, we'll have next week's prediction nailed, and the week after that until they do
Let's hope so.
Final 2. So.
Yeah. Elie comes in and he gives great advice to everybody, I feel like. He suggests to Ivy to cut the dress. She's obsessed with the silk fabric which she got, which I think is beautiful, but you have to realize it's ready to wear. And I actually liked the first sketch she had better. It was like a cocktail length dress, and now all of a sudden she was making a maxi dress. What do you guys think of the comment? I think we kind of all were shaking our heads when she mentioned, well, I wanted to make the dress longer so you could show the fabric, but the customer could always have the option to hem it.
Oh my God. And she wanted to stay true to herself. And I think that she should have learned not to stay true to herself by this point. But the hemming thing,
especially not if you're designing for someone else's line.
Yeah.
This isn't about you. This isn't your line. This is about him and what he wants, and you should have listened to him.
No,
Absolutely.
From the male
Goes without
perspective,
saying.
we really don't care. For the most part, when it comes to men's fashion, everything that we buy off the rack, it's gonna fit enough for us to wear it.
Sure.
But when it comes to women's clothes, I mean, you have to. Most women are going to alter things a little bit if it's something they're spending money on, but she was talking about, oh yeah, they could take it all the way up or whatever. She kind of gave that impression, like, hem it to whatever you want after
She's talking about a whole new dress.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Make it
a
on
$500 to $700 dress,
No.
you
Never.
kind of want it to fit, you want it to have the right length.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
know?
don't want to spend that much money on a dress and then have to spend additional cost
Yes.
on getting anything done.
And if it is alterations, it's usually fit. It's not,
Exactly.
let's change this dress, let's reconstruct it.
No.
And actually, I thought that point, and actually there was a bunch of times in the workroom where you could tell that these designers don't really know ready to wear. They are fashion designers. They are not business people yet. A couple of them showed us that they can do ready to wear, but I think that a lot of the comments that they were making in the workroom was like, okay, they don't really get the ready to wear thing yet. Or at this point.
We also see Elie talk to Josh. He mentions that he loves the color. He
Another
likes
good example.
where he's going with the pink. But then he mentions that the lace kind of takes it somewhere else. He wasn't in love with the lace.
Yeah, he basically said that it was just too much. That took it a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. When we saw him picking out his fabric, though, I know Alina and I, we were both relieved. He was at first putting a black lace over that fuchsia print, and that right away just looked really tacky. So
And
I was
cheap.
happy, very cheap. And I was happy when he at least, kept it to one color. But then when you saw him actually putting it together and you saw the dress, it's so true. I still feel the lace cheap in the dress, and it was too much. I liked the structure that he was going with, for the most part, in terms of like the seams and the shape that it had in the shoulders and in the back. But then, of course, as he continues to do his design, we saw that the top was not structured, and everyone was commenting on the droopy boob, and that was just a bad
Josh
thing.
is ready to wear his, in his head, I think it was H&M or Forever 21.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then the exposed zipper that he had, I thought was just... It was just bad.
Immediately when
looked
he
cheap.
went to,
It was
cheap
really
the,
cheap.
Somebody should have really helped him edit that. And I think that's kind of where the competition, nobody said anything about that in the workroom.
Sure.
And that would have been the first thing to go. was
Yeah.
that zipper.
Get rid of the zipper. If you're going to get rid of anything, get rid of the zipper.
I
They
agree.
even, we'll get to the runway, but they talk about the zipper. It's an issue.
Yeah.
Then Elie talks to Uli, and they don't seem to have a huge issue with the fact that she has white, but she started overcompensating because she was afraid she didn't have the wow factor. So she was draping the fabric. She was doing some crazy stuff to the bottom, and they told her, whoa, this looks really heavy.
Well, she did some like twist thing right in the front at the waist. And so when you would look at the profile of the dress, you basically are sticking out in the midsection, and that is the last thing any woman wants. You look pregnant.
Yes.
So
It was terrible.
it just looked really bad. And I think that's one of the things they commented on was just that it was really heavy. What else did they say about her?
No, that
I think
was
that
the
was
big thing. It was
basically it.
the Ulie's too big and heavy.
Heavy, yeah, and like poofy in the front.
But what makes Elie smart is she takes the advice
Exactly.
and she edits and then comes out with a beautiful dress.
And we saw her do a couple different things in the workroom after they gave her that, you know, that critique. She tried a couple of different things. Like we saw kind of like a little silk ribbon detail or something right in the front instead of that big poof that I thought was simple. And then she even changed it, which we then see later in on the runway. And I thought she did a really good job of just kind of continuing to move forward with what she had and refining it. And it ended up coming out pretty gorgeous.
Yeah, we loved it at the end. Anthony Ryan,
We missed Emilio.
we missed
We did miss
Emilio. Oh,
Emilio.
you're right. Emilio, they talk about how he did the color blocking. He had this
He had
mustard
3 different colors. He had
Yeah,
the mustard, the
mustard,
burgundy,
and orange.
And-
orange. That's
right.
what,
And what they told him was less is more. Elie told him less is more. Drop the orange. The back looks far better because the back is it was only mustard and burgundy.
Right.
And I like the idea of his dress. I like the concept. I like the fit. But I just wish he wouldn't have gone with those colors.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the colors, although I felt the colors ended up looking great on his model.
Sure.
I think Joanna was the one to say, or maybe it wasn't Joanna, maybe it was someone on the runway, but they told him that those colors are hard. They don't fit every woman. They're not going to look good on every skin tone. They look great on his model. You know, she was African American, and it really
Yeah, it
stood out.
really
It was
worked
really
for her.
pretty, but yeah, it wouldn't work on everybody.
And actually, he probably could have. It would have been a more saleable, ready-to-wear dress if it had been burgundy with the mustard trim.
Thank you. I would have liked
If
that
you
a
had
lot.
reversed that,
Yeah.
because then it would have been a lot more accessible to a lot, broader
Right.
range
Yeah.
of women.
And women love dark colors. It's just flattering.
They do,
flattering,
and then that pop of like the
Right?
mustard would actually be really pretty.
Yeah.
There you
Good
go.
job, Cougar.
Maybe I should call him
Maybe I
up.
should
Yeah,
do
I know.
that. Just tell him to swap that.
Anthony Ryan, they love his dress. Joanna and Elie do from the
The best
beginning.
remarks.
He got the best remarks. They
Yeah.
even, Elie talked about how the pocket is worth it, even though it may cost more to manufacture. He said, gain is bigger than cost. I'm
Yeah.
not going to try to
Right.
do his.
Cost to benefit.
Yeah. But then he digresses, and next thing you know, they're all crying. And what was
That's what
going
it looked
on?
like.
I think that was a really weird editing job by the people at Project Runway.
Possibly.
Yeah, they stuck Elie with this monologue about
challenge.
when things are easy, people tend to get lazy, and when you fight for
Yeah.
truth and love, and when you're fighting for food,
Well, this
the
is
blessings
what
are bigger.
Yeah, this is what happened. I was thinking about it afterwards because we had to rewind that and watch that again. We're like, what? How did that
What is he
happen? What is
talking
he
about?
saying? And how that actually happened, and I have a feeling it was probably a longer conversation that you're right. They edited down and wanted to keep that like sentimental moment in. Basically, they were talking about the pockets, and then Elie said, well, you want to think about giving her a flattering hip. Joanna says, well, that could be a challenge. And then he goes into, well, yes, but if it's not a challenge, people tend to get lazy. And then when you're faced with challenges, like, and he gave all these examples, like fighting for your food and fighting for truth and fighting for this, the blessings are greater. And Joanna's like,
Cries.
I just had a moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
you just,
she
it was
cries.
so
Anthony
profound.
runs a little
Anthony's
red.
crying.
She hugs him. It was just they edited it so tight, and you're just kind of thrown off.
It was so
It was
random.
kind of funny.
I'm still confused. Thanks
Yeah.
for the explanation. I'm even more confused, though.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It basically all she had
No,
to say
I'm
was
kidding.
challenge, and then it turned into him saying, well, challenge, why challenge is so great. And we find out later in the show, if you don't know about him, the challenges that he faced to get to where he was, and you could just tell he's such a humble, nice man. So if that little conversation did anything for us, it was make us just really like him, even though we were very confused by how he got there.
It was.
He was so
You're
nice.
right. It's a good segue into his story.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's
But
probably
they-
why
it
they.
makes sense.
They
There
didn't
we go.
connect the dots there for the viewer, and
Right.
we were all thrown off, and it was just kind of.
It was funny.
No
Okay.
tears were shed on our part either.
That just made
We're
Elie. For those
heartless.
out there who don't know Elie
Yes,
Tahari,
explain.
Yeah.
well, it just made him look a little weird. I thought. I mean,
Really?
Elie Tahari, I'm definitely a huge fan of because of his story of coming to America 40 years ago and having having nothing but $30, and we were talking about sleeping in Central Park and working his way up.
Working as an electrician.
Yeah.
Working
To
as
begin
an electrician.
with.
If Andrew Rosen is out there watching me right now, hire me. But because Andrew Rosen and Elie Tahari teamed up and they created the Theory label, and then Elie Tahari created his own label, still in partnership with Mr. Rosen. So I mean, he had to work from nothing to become something. And I think that's what the monologue was about. But I think for most average viewers who are not like us in the fashion know, it made him look like a little bit of a weirdo.
Kook.
A kook, yeah. It was a kooky moment if you have
Such
no
a kooky
context.
moment.
Right.
Yeah.
But he does have the biggest showroom on Fifth Avenue. Did they mention that, right?
They
They did in the beginning.
Something like that.
They said that. I don't
That's
know
crazy.
if that's true, but they said that.
They're always right on Project
They're
Runway.
always right. Sorry,
Come on,
I should
Cougar.
not doubt that.
Come on.
How dare you doubt
Let's
them?
Well, actually, before we get to the runway, I voted for fan favorite this week.
Did you?
Uli and Casanova. Can you do both?
Casanova
why
was
not?
already gone.
Yeah,
But
what are
he
you
can
talking
still win
about?
fan favorite.
Oh, you're right. That's true,
Listen,
actually. I
I'm
never think
proactive,
about
you
that.
two.
You're
Yeah.
so smart.
Okay.
You are smart.
But
Boo,
tell me
fan
who's
favorite.
actually.
I'm getting a little bit bored with the fan favorite because it continues to be Anthony Ryan. Again, in the
nice
lead
guy,
for
but,
31%, unless if my phone is not updating, but I believe it is because I continued to check it. 31%. And you know what, though? After this episode, as we were going further into it, I thought he actually is my favorite. I mean, he
He's
has just
consistent.
been so consistent throughout the entire competition. I usually really love everything that he puts out. I mean, every now and then I'll think, that's okay, or I don't really love it, but he always seems to wow me, do something that I would never think of. I love him. I think he's really great, so I'm happy about that.
My question to you, Lo and Cougar.
Yeah.
Do you guys choose your fan favorite just based off what they've designed, or their personalities, or their character as a whole on Project Runway? Because
Because you're going with Casanova.
I'm about
I'm
the
going
work.
with Casanova.
I'm about the work. You know, what makes me a fan is somebody who can design, who knows what they're doing. They might have a great personality, but that's not going to take them where they need to go in life. And that's what this show's all about.
Yes,
It's
it
all
will.
stars.
Tweet
Yes,
me,
it will.
fans. I want to know what you guys are doing. Are you voting for fan favorite because their personality,
Yeah.
the character as a whole, or just their design aesthetic?
I would like to say that I take it all into consideration. I feel like now I probably wouldn't be inclined to vote for Casanova because he's off, and I do want to take into consideration their work. I want to say this person is my favorite because I like what they do. I feel they're consistent in the competition, but I also want to take into consideration their personality. And I like Anthony Ryan because he's a nice guy.
He is.
You know, we don't see him catty. We always see him helping everybody. He's always focused on his own work.
He was talking some
You
trash on
know?
Uli today, but
But in a nice
But
way.
he-
He doesn't take
he
It was
wasn't
so-
overly trashy.
Yeah.
It was not even trashy. It was so nice. And he even said, that's the nicest way to put it. Meaning, you know,
Is he a
was
Southern boy?
criticizing
He
her.
sounds like it.
Yeah,
he has
he
a little
does.
southern
Southern
twang
boy.
to his.
So, you know, he's really tactful and he's a friendly person. And the thing that I believe about Anthony Ryan is that even though he said that about Uli, I don't even remember what the comment
Yeah, it
was
was
about her
very-
dress. I think it was just like he doesn't know why she's doing another white dress.
Yeah.
He would tell her that to her face, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the kind of person that sits in that little confessional area and goes on and on about these other contestants behind their back and then is like Ivy, who tries to redeem herself throughout the competition, but will say these things, you know, when they're talking to a producer. He's not like that. And so I take that into consideration. And for that reason, he is my fan favorite.
So my question is, before you tell us
Yes.
about iTunes and rating and commenting, if Ivy, who has a terrible personality, as we know, was the best designer, would she be your fan favorite?
No.
Not yours, Cougar.
Oh,
God.
Ooh.
Because you consider everything.
yes.
If she was the best designer, but like the Wicked Witch of the West, you know, like she is, God, that's a tough one because I really do. I mean, I do put the emphasis on the work. I'd have to say I got to stick with my guns and say yeah,
Okay.
because I am a fan of talent. I mean, personality is only going to get you so far.
I like the whole package.
Well,
That's my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna back down. Although I hate Ivy, so I'm like, whatever.
Maybe you just wouldn't vote.
That's why
you
it's
wouldn't
not working
admit it.
you just blew my brain out because I can't really figure out. I hate her. Ugh.
Right.
She doesn't have any talent.
You know what? Maybe if she were more talented, we wouldn't mind the cattiness as much.
Yeah.
So you never know. It's all hypothetical.
She's
talk.
pathetic. Like I'm sorry.
She really is.
Yeah, but we would be ranting and raving about her talent.
Yeah.
Like Ven. Last season, he was cocky.
Annoying.
He was so cocky, but he was great. Style did get old, but we sang his praises.
Wait. Here, let me put this in a different context. I don't know Balenciaga's personality. I only know him because I think he's the most talented designer ever.
Okay.
But let's say that Balenciaga was a douchebag. So,
Which is highly probable.
Right?
It's probable, right? It could have happened. He could have been that way. If I saw his designs, almost made me cry when I saw them up in San Francisco at the De Young Museum. They're amazing, and I would be like, I don't care if you're a douchebag, because you're so amazingly talented. Like a work of art that just moves you.
Okay.
No, that
I can
makes
understand
sense.
If
that.
Ivy
We
had
all
that
have our
talented-
bias.
Yeah,
It's like rose-colored glasses. When you love somebody, you don't see
Yeah.
the douchiness.
exactly.
Right. Or you just choose to ignore
I
it.
think we just explained a lot of relationships right now.
I think we sound like Elie
If you want to
Tahari
call
in
us
that
in,
workroom.
or anybody's looking for relationship advice out there, call the AfterBuzz Studios.
Speaking of kooky,
Yeah. Well, if you want to let us know what you think or how you would vote for your fan favorite or who your fan favorite is, you can comment on iTunes when you go there to subscribe and download us. And as always, we want you to pass this on to your other fashion loving friends. We want this to be a conversation and we want you guys to join in too. And downloading us on iTunes always helps. So please do that. And yeah.
let's get to
Make it fun.
Runway. All right, our guest judge was obviously Elie Tahari and Stacy Keibler, who was formerly a WWE wrestler and is currently George Clooney's flavor of the month. No, year.
Been a little while.
He takes a little while, so let's call her Flavor of the Year.
Flavor of the year.
Yeah.
So, and that's why she's judging on Project Runway,
Yeah.
right?
Right?
Because,
But one connection I did think of, Marquesa has been very generous ever since she's been dating George and walking the red carpet with him. So
Maybe they're good
maybe Georgina
friends.
picked up the phone.
Yeah.
I think
That would
she's,
make sense.
her and Harvey are probably friends with George.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't think that they were hanging out with
That
Stacey
makes
ringside.
a lot of sense.
No? You don't see that? All right. Let's get to the runway. The first designer was Anthony Ryan. We all talked about his pretty print, and he had some beautiful black paneling. It was a short cocktail dress with an interesting little shoulder. I didn't love the neckline. And who mentioned that? Was it Isaac Mizrahi?
Isaac, yeah. And it's
didn't
it was
love
a
it.
young neckline.
And it was
Yeah.
kind of scrunched. It was, I don't
Was
know.
it? I don't
Not
remember
scrunched. It just didn't look too flattering. But it was something that could have easily been edited or maybe pressed and look better. But I thought it was one of the best dresses, if not the best.
Yes. I thought it was the best. I loved the print. The print it reminded me of like paint strokes. I don't know about anybody else. And then I love the detailing that he not only added the pocket, but he did that black paneling on the side and then did an angled pocket, which I think can be really flattering on the hip. It's not just straight horizontal, which could really make you wide. I thought it was very flattering and slimming to have that right on the side of the waist, that black panel.
And it helped it disappear, too.
Definitely. And I really loved when the back of the model, when you saw those like snakeskin paneling on the back and how he combined that print with this like other paint stroke print. And he always kind of sticks to these cool color schemes, like the blues and like grays and dark colors, but they're just so pretty. I loved his design. It was my favorite. I wouldn't wear it.
For sure. And all of those different prints were off the same panel of fabric. And I mean, like somebody mentioned, I don't know if it was him who was talking about his own fabric, you can really mess that up. When you're trying to cut up if he had done it horizontally, it would have looked completely different and probably terrible. And it's tough to do vertical stripes, and especially when they look like paint strokes. But his artful way of doing the blocking and kind of separating out the different sections of fabric and putting in that snakeskin. I mean, he's a master. He's an all-star.
All right.
Definitely.
I'm going to turn it on to you. Cougar, describe Josh's dress and then so forth, and we'll go back.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
This is
okay,
fun.
so Josh's dress comes out on the runway. We see this, I don't know, like sort of semi-hooker from the front. Yeah.
True.
Well, you know, I was thinking like Pretty Woman at first, but then he's got this like frumpy opening. And back in the workroom, it was just this open space here where you
Yeah.
really didn't know what he was going to do with that open space, but he left it this billow of fabric that made the woman's bosom sink to the floor. And he was called out by Georgina on the fact that no woman wants her bosoms drop into the ground. Zero support there. And I think, you know, I think the judges all kind of gave him a little kudos on picking out this really great fabric, which he had no idea what to do with. And then you turn it around and you see a little of the lace, you see that hideous zipper, which he actually used, I think, a little too much of. The length of the zipper was incorrectly sewn in there, so it created this weird bumpy effect on the back.
Yeah.
So his ready-to-wear dress, straight off, they probably actually would still use that design at Forever 21
Yeah.
with little alteration.
Right.
And it was atrocious.
Yeah. I liked, again, the cut of, I guess the cut of the design, just like the shape of it.
Good fit
Yeah.
from the sides.
And if the fit on the back was better, if he didn't use that zipper and,
It would've
you know,
worked.
the silhouette was a lot smoother and more flattering, it could have been nice. But the zipper was so bad. And not only was it bad just because it was an exposed zipper, I also hated that it went straight up, like through the cutout back. It didn't even just stop at the cutout. It actually like separated. It just went straight through. And I thought that was so tacky, so cheap. You're totally right. It's a little bit hookerish.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
From the back, I thought it looked cheap. What the hell with the zipper? Get rid of it
Right.
altogether. Get rid of the lace and the billowing, and it would have been an okay dress.
Right. And he had the
You didn't like the lace?
opportunity.
I
The
didn't
way
like
he
the lace.
used the lace
It was fine.
as an applique on top of the.
It was fine, but I think it could have been chicer and more like classic. Not every woman's gonna grab a lace dress,
And that
especially when it's
wasn't-
hot pink.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a pretty lace. Like I think the lace was actually looked really cheap.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a really nice
not like-
lace.
yeah, like-
Another
chances are
fail was
different.
that it wasn't Elie Tahari. You know, that really wasn't his style.
No. And I guess maybe he didn't take that into consideration enough. Yeah, and he had an opportunity to do something better in the bust area. You know, like you
Yeah.
said, it was cut out for so long, we didn't really know what he was going to do right there. And it could have been a lot more flattering, but
Alina, let me turn this
wow.
around on you. How did you feel about Josh's eyebrows?
Josh's eyebrows are over plucked, over groomed, and he always has an expression.
he's always
right?
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do some editing on Josh altogether.
So what do you think?
rid of
Who
the
was worse,
tan.
Laura Kathleen or Josh?
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
thank
man.
you.
I am totally.
You disagree?
Yeah. I am way more comfortable with Josh and whatever he's doing than I would ever be with just Laura Kathleen's face in general.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Fighting words.
But Josh,
dun,
I mean, even at the beginning of the episode, it was like, what is Josh wearing out to Elie Tahari Studios? Wearing these kind of like macrame shorts
Yeah,
that were
I don't know.
crazy colors.
He
But
loves
still,
his
I was like,
shorts.
okay, good for Josh. Whereas Laura Kathleen's eyebrows were an abomination on mankind.
Ooh, strong words.
Strong
Fighting words.
all hers would take is dye, and
And
his
a
like
different
need just
shape.
to he needs to change the whole shape in general.
I don't like blondes. That could be it too. I'm kind of biased.
He overgrooms,
Yeah.
and he needs to get rid of that eyebrow gel.
Yeah.
Lo, tell us about Emilio.
Amelia. Well, I wasn't totally prepared for this, Alina.
Oops.
Because honestly, Amelia's, you know, the shape of it reminded me very much of the shape that, or similar to the shape he did last week.
Similar.
And I think even Ivy said that he does these like period pieces that have these like older shapes, which I actually really like. It was basically came down mid calf. What is that, T length? Right? Isn't that T length dress?
yeah.
Isn't that what that's called?
I would actually have no idea.
We're supposed to know these things. Well, came mid calf and fitted down. You know, it was all fitted in general. Mustard color, like we said, with the burgundy trim that kind of went, you know, around the shoulders and down the back, like
Yeah.
swooped down the back.
And around the waist.
and around the waist. And that was pretty much it that I could think of. I don't really remember exactly what the neckline was like. Do you guys remember?
It was just a high neck,
Yeah, high neck.
straight.
High neck. It was very simple.
Very.
I did like that, you know, he did what Elie said and embraced the less is more concept and immediately edited out the orange. And I actually like that he did that. I agree with you, Cougar. Maybe if the colors had been swapped, I think
That would actually
more
made it a little
people.
bit more, you know, interesting because it would
Right.
have been the pops here, you know, it would have been accents.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, it was just kind of an okay dress, and I think that is what all the judges seemed to say. They thought it was an okay dress. They thought it was nice. They liked the cut of it. But I think Georgina was the one that said, you know, it's a fine dress, but the color's hard. You know, I don't know. Elie liked the color and he liked the sleeve. Isaac was the one to say that he expected more from him. You know, it's a good dress, but I expect more from you, and I agree with him on that. So, you know, as we see, Amelia's the one that just kind of falls in the middle of top and bottom. Nothing great. What did you guys think?
I liked the dress. I thought the cut and the fit was great. I don't like the color. And overall, it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was fine.
It was fine.
okay.
It was ready to wear, and if you know, swap the colors out, it would have been. I think it would have sold
Yeah.
well enough.
Ivy.
Ivy.
I have to describe this one, and I don't
Yep.
even want to.
Yeah.
It was a round neck, sheer paneling up top. I forget what
It was
the color.
or
Yellow,
It was a
orange.
mustardy.
It was a
Yeah.
mustard.
Yes, and then we get into this silk fabric, which was beautiful when we saw it in the workroom.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everybody
Right?
was
Yes.
like, "Oh my God, great fabric."
Such a beautiful
Yes.
fabric. But she decided to make this long maxi dress and then cut it a little shorter, calf length, but not fitted. And she belted it, so it was still loose. I feel like she could have taken some fabric because
Yeah.
it was too big. And then she had two slits down the side. Low, you mentioned it looked like an Asian dress.
Well,
with
it looked
no
like
offense to
culturally right.
You
It
know,
looked
the
cultural.
Chinese garments, or I don't know what it is.
Well, I
where
think
they
it was
have
the
the slits
cut.
down. Yeah.
Japanese.
Oh, is it Japanese?
Okay.
We don't mean to offend anybody. We
No,
don't know, but
and it's not even. It's not.
That's not bad.
It's not
That's
a negative
beautiful.
comment.
No.
It's just the cut of it. That's what it reminded me
yeah,
of.
you don't want it to look like a cultural gown or
And
uniform.
if you're gonna
or,
go cultural, you got to go all the way. You know, none of this.
Yeah.
half-ass.
yeah, but it's not. But it's not a. That's not a ready to wear gown.
It wasn't the
yeah.
challenge, so that's
And
why
she
it was
you know,
wrong.
color blocking and all that.
I
You
just thought it
know-
was the ugliest silk dress I've ever seen.
Ever.
Period.
It was bad.
And I couldn't even see the pretty fabric. I thought the fabric looked horrid after
Yeah.
she designed it.
Right.
Yep.
Well, you know what I think? I looked at what she put down the runway and I thought, well, anybody could make that dress. If you know how to use a sewing machine, okay, so it has like a scoop neck and just, I mean, you cut out the holes for the
Yeah, your
arms and the slits on the
16-year-old
side.
sister could have made it for prom.
Exactly. It's just there was nothing special about this dress.
Even the styling
Boring.
was terrible.
Dude,
The girl had
boring styling.
wedges.
Yeah.
Straight back hair and a ponytail.
And the worst
Terrible
thing
makeup.
about it was that she, you know, they advised her to cut it shorter, make it into a cute summer dress, which could have been really great.
Sure.
And she didn't do that. She wanted to go with the long dress, but then she still cut it short. She still cut it shorter. So then it just made it at a really awkward length.
That was a
I think it
super
kind of came like right to the top of the ankles or
Yeah.
something like that. And it was just
was a little bit
so
up.
odd. And I think all of them pointed that out, that your length is awkward. Isaac Mizrahi, I remember him saying that as he watched it walk down the runway, he thought it was kind of pretty. The fabric is pretty. And with the slits there, I guess it allowed a sort of movement. But then he said when she's standing there, she looks awkward.
yeah.
So it was just such a missed opportunity with such a pretty fabric.
And it's going to make Ivy, I think, you know, anybody watching this show is going to see Ivy as not a desirable employee because she doesn't take criticism. She wants to stick to, you know, be true to herself, you know, in her own words. And being true to herself was not successful. And it hasn't been pretty much the entire season.
She's been in the bottom four. I think this was either her fourth or fifth time.
Yeah.
In
And
a
they
row.
brought that up, you know, in the deliberation. It's like, okay, are we going to help? Are we going to tell Ivy to raise it up again and again and again? Or
Yeah, but that just shows how stubborn she is. Because if for myself, if I had been in the bottom 4, even 2 times in a row, and somebody told me, cut it short, and I'm designing for their line, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you want me? I would just do whatever they want me to do. You know, I would do anything they told me to do. At that point, I don't know that I would be sticking true to myself because myself has not been working. So
And
that's part of learning.
The whole challenge is to potentially sell the dress for this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not going to take his advice. Whose advice are you going to take?
Exactly.
To have your dress worldwide, that dress would not have sold worldwide, and I don't even know how she went into the
It wouldn't have
design
sold
thinking
anywhere.
so. No. Well,
It was maybe somewhere.
I'm thinking Fashion District, downtown LA.
Okay.
There we go.
Perfect.
Santee Alley.
Awesome.
True. And there, somebody would have cut their dress short. They would have bought the dress because it would have been cheap,
And then
they would say, "I'm going to do this and that to it," and they would totally made a new dress, and it would have worked.
Scrap fabric.
Yeah.
Totally.
Or just use the silk and make a headband.
There you go.
I would have scarf, anything.
Multiple headbands. Yeah.
Talk about Elie, Cougar.
Elie, you know, she. We were talking about her going with white again. It was a little surprising that when she came down the runway, she came out with a great dress. And, you know, like Lauren mentioned earlier, she had gone through a few different fashion iterations, or design iterations, excuse me. And what she ended up with was, and this is against her own sayings of, I'm not going to do trim and fringe. She had trim and fringe, and she had white. And somehow she just makes it work like magic because it was a beautiful dress. It was, you know, wonderfully executed, had a great waistline, you know, added by some fringe trim. And yeah, it just worked. You know, and great structure in the shoulders. There was nothing wrong with what she executed. It was a little, I think, a little on the boring side compared to Anthony Ryan. So in a sense, like, I can see who was going to come out on top. But
Well, that goes with the white fabric again, though.
it was an interesting fabric too. You know,
Yeah.
it was like a perforated fabric almost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that she actually made it. What was great about the dress is that it could have been a fat, heavy dress. You know, a big, heavy dress that makes a woman look big, or it could have looked a little too winter because it looked thick.
Because it was thick.
Yeah, but she somehow, you know, with her design details, made it, you know, I don't know, summer, but a nice, beautiful, wearable dress.
Wearable.
Yeah. Well, and maybe I'm wrong, but didn't it look like the trim that she did? Because she did this, like, just very minimal fringe trim, but it looked like it was made out of the very fabric that the dress was.
Yeah.
So, which I thought looked really nice, and that made it very minimal. So it didn't look like, oh, there she goes with her trim again. She actually did it really perfectly, made it very simple. And I think because of that, it's a dress that you could wear year round. You know, I mean,
when
it did
Elie
look
does
thick,
trim-
but you could find a way to wear that for the spring. I don't know, maybe not summer, but it was a very, very ready to wear, I thought. I loved the detail that she did in the shoulders, and it kind of like, I don't even know how to describe how it fit in the shoulders, but then it kind of twisted up near the neckline,
Yeah.
which is a detail that you just don't see very often. So I thought, you know, for such a simple, easy dress, there was detail about it that was very unique. And I think that's what's so great about her design aesthetic is that she somehow manages to do something different. You know, she just makes magic happen.
She doesn't show
you're
a lot
right.
of range with her, you know, her color selections. But if you know, like we were saying earlier, if you imagined that dress with anybody else's fabric, it would have turned out just as lovely.
Yeah.
You know, so she's got the range in her design talent and her imagination, just not the color palette, perhaps.
And nobody mentioned that she did white again, I don't think. I don't think anybody. Oh, I think
Caroline did.
Yeah,
But
she
said she doesn't care.
She's like, you could do a white dress every week
time.
and I'll love everything you do because it always comes out amazing. And it's true.
I thought it was a pretty dress.
Yeah.
I thought it's very wearable. A lot of women could wear it, but yeah, it has the unique detail like you mentioned in the shoulders. I just want to see her do more though, because I know how talented she is, and I think she could win it all personally.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see her do more.
I hope
I
so.
hope so. Yeah.
All right. Should we get to the winner and loser?
Let's do it.
Good news first. Anthony Ryan wins. I think this was obvious this week.
Oh,
Yes.
very obvious.
I want that dress. I guess I could buy it.
You can.
can.
And actually, it'll probably be on sale tomorrow. I bet you anything.
All right. We
Probably.
should check.
They usually do it the day after the show airs.
I don't know.
Or maybe the Friday after, but we'll check. check.
500.
500 to 700. It's Christmas just happened.
Hey,
I don't think
you
I can
guys
do
got
that.
your Christmas bonuses, right?
Oh, no.
Already went out
Not
the door.
exactly. And the loser this week, finally,
Thank God.
Cougar's happy. So
So
is
happy.
Lo.
So am I.
Ivy's gone.
Yay.
Ivy was such a bottom feeder. You know,
Yeah.
it really bothered me to see her on the show week after week, especially when Casanova got kicked off instead of her. And when they were in the bottom two. I mean, that just killed me because her talent. I don't know where her talent is at, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
I
be
don't know.
competitive on the stage like that on a national program, I don't understand. why she
All
wasn't-
stars.
I don't know. Understand.
She's there for the drama.
She was not dramatic this season at all. You know, she was dramatic in her season, but she toned it down. And I think
I don't know. She's still catty.
I think that's what they were
boring.
waiting for or
Yeah.
hoping
Maybe.
for. She was a filler, like many of the
she
designers
was a filler
this
that
season.
should have been
Filler.
dropped off a while back.
Bye,
Who's going
Ivy.
home next week? Who do you guys think?
Ooh, prediction.
Josh.
You think Josh?
He doesn't have the taste
Your
level.
AFTERBUZZ TV.
Okay, Ivy's out. Cougar?
It's between Josh and Emilio, but I'm going to call Josh.
I'm calling
sure.
Josh too.
I mean, it's really
Unanimous.
Ooh.
Yeah. I
Tweet
mean,
us. What do you guys think?
What's that?
I said tweet us. What do you guys think? I want to know.
And next week, who do you think is going to win? Shocking guess.
Okay.
Uli or Anthony Ryan?
The challenge,
that's
though,
hard.
did you get what the challenge was? It has something to do with military women. They're going to be they're meeting them on the USS Intrepid, and then there were these two military women that came up, you know, on the elevator or whatever to meet them, but it didn't really say what the.
The challenge was?
Katie Holmes is going to be the judge.
So maybe it's for her line.
Maybe.
Yeah, then maybe there's going to throw something in there, but I couldn't understand. I didn't really get what the challenge
Yeah,
itself
I didn't
was.
either.
So, not knowing what the challenge is, I can't really lean one way or the other on Uli or Anthony Ryan.
Or Emilio, because Emilio
don't-
tends to do very simple things, and I think Katie Holmes is a very simple person. No?
True.
No.
I think
All
so.
right.
Emilio's going to be the third.
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll see.
Holmes and Yang, like that line is a very beautiful and it's beautiful in its simplicity. I don't think Emilio is as beautiful in his simplicity to like really catch Katie Holmes' eye.
Then it's going to be Uli.
We
That's
should-
my prediction.
Okay.
I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum,
It
bum,
was
bum.
fun. Another good week, you
Yes.
guys.
That's actually, since this is more of a contentious issue than who's getting kicked off, that's what I think, you know, all of our followers out there should be tweeting us. Who do you think is going to take the prize next week?
That's a good one. All right, you guys
Let's hear
keep the
it.
convo going. Tweet me at _Alina23.
And you could tweet me at @low_Vias.
Tweet me, keep tweeting me at Cougar Tweets.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.